Alright, I recorded a long Twitch stream earlier today. That should be up like a month ago because my YouTube videos are on a delay. But anyways, I've just been looking at some, I also blew up my Blitz rating, so I gotta improve that. Yeah, too low. But I've been really excited about the Najdorf is what I wanted to say. I was looking at lines in it earlier today, and I'm really hoping to get some games in it because I just get so hyped when I look at Najdorf lines. I really should pick it up as my real opening. Okay, a3 is a strange move. I think I'm going to stake out the center. Alright, so I could take and then play d5, or I could try to undermine with d5 immediately. I think I'll take and then go d5. And then I think d4 is forced. I won't give them tempo on my queen, though queen f6 was probably fine. Now knight c6, rook c8. That kind of move seems very reasonable. Queen h5 is possible. I probably have to play queen e7. This could be a little hard to unwind, but I like knight a5 next, because their bishop can't stay on the diagonal without surrendering c2. So I like this move, because if their bishop's not on the diagonal, I can start to unwind a little, because my queen is then freer to move, though I still have to worry about f6. I don't know, this position's a little tricky. I feel like I should be fine. I feel like I should be better, because I've got the big center, and they don't really have pawn breaks I think are very helpful for them, and I'm now trading off what's probably their more, what might be their more dangerous minor piece. If my knight's gone, I can never contest this knight on e4 though, because my bishop can't obviously go to the light squares. Ooh, did they calculate something? They don't have knight d6, they have knight takes f6. But if I just chase the knight, now do they have to trade queens? Because if they move the knight, their queen falls. Knight d5 I can take. I don't see the problem. I should take more time before I take there just to make sure, because if there is something here, I could lose the game on the spot. And so that was a bad use of time, or lack thereof, not use of time. I'll go to d8, probably tuck my king away on b8 eventually. I'm going to predict f4, because my pawn's pinned to my queen. Alright, that did not come. I think I should try to get my king to b8 quickly. Maybe knight c6 next, protect the pawn. Queen g7 can be annoying, but it's only allowed if my bishop moves. And if my bishop moves, then my rook will be defended because my other rook's on it. So I think this is a pretty low risk position. That doesn't threaten anything. So I'm going to get my king to b8. Alright, they're trying to build a threat. Wonder where the queen goes if I poke. Just say hello to the queen, see what happens. I want to push stuff. I don't want to get passive. Yeah. I like knight e5, threaten knight f3. Yeah. And we got him. I'll probably just give the queen back on b7 because I'm just up so much material after that I can't possibly lose if they take rook b7. They did not. Alright, 1 for 1. Did get Najdorf. Did get a very good position out of, a position out of the opening. I should go back and check that after. I haven't been checking my games. Ooh, can we get 2 Najdorfs? Will my dreams come true? No. All very sad. Alright, so you're supposed to take back queen here because the knight actually has more hopes on c6. And white gets a Maroczy, which seems nice for white. But the thing is, they've traded the bishop that's often stuck behind the chain. But black has traded the bishop that often doesn't have squares. You can see white easily gets control over that. So I'm not really sure who it favors. Usually b3 is played. And then b5 can hit a little harder than it normally might, because this knight is loose, because there are lots of pieces on the diagonal. Maybe I should have tried to break out sooner, because the more turns they have, the more chance they have to get the pieces off target squares. I'm going to sack a pawn, because I believe their position is potentially vulnerable. They're going to play knight d5 here, which makes sense. I have to bring the queen somewhere that covers e7, so So I will bring here, because if I went here, knight b6 is a fork. So I'm going to make sure not to fall for that. I will play knight takes d5 if I get another turn, try to isolate their d-pawn. Take back rook, of course, if they take on c8, because if I take back queen, I walk into a fork. I think they should have gone pawn grabbing rather than this. For instance, if in some version where their knight's traded off I can get in b4, I can turn a2 into this permanent backwards pawn. And so if I get in b4 now, I think often endgames are really good for me, especially rook endgames, because their rook will be pushed into more passive duty than mine. So I have kind of two ways to play for an advantage here. One is if I can control the c-file, and the other is if I can play b4 and pressure a2. Now, they've done a nice job of both contesting the c-file and trying to force all rooks off. And if rooks are off, I stop having this potential initiative here. So I'm going to try to keep rooks on. I'm not sure this is right, but it at least has some kind of strategic concept to it. I would also maybe like to play b4, bishop c3, but I think the main use of b4 is simply that it restricts the a-pawn. One reason not to put the bishop on c3 is they could play a4 in response, and I can't take en passant without losing my bishop. Alright, they just want to trade. Seems fine to me. I'm going to play queen b5, maybe come to a5 sometimes, maybe hint at like sneaking in on a square if it happens to become undefended. I'll probably play h5 at some point, make sure they never have h4, h5. That seems useful space gaining. I might play something like rook a5 or a3, probably a3, so that I can double up on this pawn. Okay, that pawn potentially is weak for them there. Oh, I just blundered mate. I am a buffoon. Yep. Wow. Got too concerned with a really not useful. This has been one of my problems in Blitz recently, is I kind of get a theme in my head, especially when talking, and just start playing for that, and I'm completely oblivious to what else is going on. Ah, that was a bad one. Alright, let's play e4. But it was not a loss for the Najdorf, so, you know, can still reign proud in the Najdorf. So I've been playing this knight d2 line, and the idea... that was the wrong move order. Okay, now I'm going to... the idea is long gone now, but instead I am going to try to control the c5 square. I'm going to play bishop e3 and just really try to get a lockdown on c5. Now, the other question is what to do on the king side. I don't know. So I'll play queen d2, something useful. I don't know what a6 was, b5 is not particularly threatening. And maybe rook g1, try to push g4. I'm going to try to push my king side now that I've hopefully kept some control over the queen side, and maybe they still get free. Okay. In that case, I'm gonna, push the king side. My knight can be good on d4, but I do have to not allow knight e5 because it can threaten to come to f3. All right, perhaps bishop g2, prepare f3, g4. I guess I have to take back queen. I'll take back pawn. I think my king can tuck on f1. Ooh, that's not so good. Alright, bishop b4 does not even win the piece back because of bishop d2. But if they had played bishop b4 check, I was going to play king f1, and I think my king's not so weak there. And I have rook c1 coming because my knight and bishop both support it. Yeah. Alright, 2 for 3. Man, I wish I hadn't blundered mate, though, in that other one. Because it's just kind of a slightly better endgame for black, and I should, not immediately lose those. Alright, can we get Najdorf? Please, please, please? Knight of 3. Knight of 3. d4. d4. Life's sad. Alright, so if you take on e4, they have queen a4 check. Yeah, let's play knight e5. Potentially they're going to get a pass-protected d-pawn, but at some point I will maneuver the knight around in front of it. Yeah, so I never could take on e4 because of queen a4. Did I have knight e4 here, actually? Knight e4, bishop e7, no, because I don't have somewhere good to pop the knight. Okay, let's play knight g6. Maybe if bishop g3, go e5. Because I feel like I have these nice pieces, and the bishop is kind of blocked by the pawn. Knight h5, they have knight e5, knight g3. Knight g6, knight e2 check, and then I recapture. So I think I can play knight h5, even though they have discoveries. My idea is to come to f4, which looks like a really nice square. Can we make that a different color? Yeah. So ideally I'm coming to f4 now with a knight. And I do not believe they have knight e5. They don't believe it either. I'm going to move the h knight. I'm not entirely sure that's correct, but I don't want to be hit by an annoying discovery. Bishop g4 might be a little annoying for them, but maybe they're happy to push kind of h3, g4. Let's play a6. Just potentially have some queenside play at some point. No rush developing my pieces. Let's play rook b8. Make sure bishop's not hit by knight b6. Now that the knight's not on d2, this knight is a little worse protected. Not sure that matters, but this knight doesn't actually attack anything. Like, it's a decent knight, but it's also a knight that's completely out of the game. I do have to worry about knight d7 possibilities, certainly. So now I don't have f5, but h5 might hit hard. Alright, and they immediately back out with their knight. They don't have g5 here. Okay, but now I can take this pawn. You can take on h5, but you don't want to take on h5, do you? Apparently you do. How can I activate pieces? f5 useful? The idea with f5 is that rook f6 might be good, and it keeps my bishop better defended. Yeah, both my bishop and knight are a little tricky for them to evict, though I suppose they have ways to contest both. Yeah, maybe knight d2 is good now. This is probably a mistake. But knight d2 I can take on d5. Knight h5, knight e5. Maybe queen e8, try to take it with the queen. Since knight d2 I can take on d5 probably. Maybe not. Knight d2, bishop d5, knight d5, knight d5. They have bishop c4 at the end, and that looks like a nightmare. So I can't do that. Alright. Knight h3, good. Knight h3, king h3, queen h5, check. The annoying thing is they have something like this, and I don't have time to take it because they're on my queen. So I could take on h5 immediately with the knight or the queen. I think I'll take with the knight. Keep some pieces on the board. Maybe rook f6 coming. That seems like a useful potential attacking piece. Rook f6 to h6. Without their dark squared bishop, they don't control a lot of squares that they might normally have an eye on. It's a good position. White doesn't have counterplay. Just the question is, will trying to attack I make my pieces too loose, like here and here, such that I end up blundering something? But so I don't think it's like riskless, but it is a nice position. So I can take and then play e4. And I don't see why not. They can play maybe queen e2 or queen e3. That was reason why not. They should have played that, because then they pin the pawn. But I'm taking two pieces, yeah. Alright, 3 for 4, but only one Najdorf. And it will only be one Najdorf for the video. I think I'll record another one after today. Alright, gonna be doing the advance and remembering this time, hopefully, to play with g4 this turn, not knight e2, because that was not what I meant to do. The point of knight d2 or knight c3 is to control e4, but knight d2, unlike the other move, can come to b3 and try to control c5, and it can also swing to f3 sometimes. So I think I'll play h5, hit the bishop back. Now here, normally, I would be playing bishop e3 with the knight on c3, maybe f4. But now I'm going to instead sort of focus on the c5 square. Maybe I'm giving c4 too easily. I will block that. That potentially gives a nice outpost for me. But I don't think I've handled this quite right. Alright, so now my knight isn't doing much on the queen side, or should I have been playing for b3? I should take more time, especially when I don't know the opening particularly well. Yeah, I think I should have played b3, now it's a little hard. Play bishop g2, make sure I have some counterplay if they play, or some defense if they play bishop e4. Castle. I don't think they can blast open the king side on me, and I still want to blast open the queen side. I think this is a little awkward for them, but better if I had hit them with it sooner before they could get so close to completing development. Bishop a3. That looks like a decent diagonal. Maybe hint at bishop d6. Let's just ask where they go. They probably want to stay so that the queen defends. Yeah. Maybe knight d2. Sort of eyeing that queen and threatening to take, because now my knight's on it. They're going to take back bishop. Let's go active. f4, think about f5. If they take the pawn, they probably should have taken the pawn. I can retreat now, though. They can still take the pawn, because my queen can't take back because my knight on e2 is loose. So if they want to take the pawn, this would be the time. Yeah. Right, but now their bishop has to make a decision. Does it want to be a kingside bishop or a queenside bishop? Or does it want to trade? And now, maybe f5's coming? Though I'll recapture on b3 if I get the chance. Yeah. Oh, I didn't see they could take that, actually. They're on c3. That's important. Can't give up c3 for nothing. Okay, let's defend it. Good point, good point. Okay, try to keep it defended. I do sometimes have c4. Okay, now I don't. Alright, fair point. Can I take on a5? Where's their queen go? Their queen, I think, has to go to c7. Why did I not see this? Okay, but my knight defends c4. So I can trade this, and I really want to trade that. Maybe now I can swing the bishop around to like d3, where it becomes a better attacking piece. Okay. I still think I like my position, despite whatever it is I've been doing the last few turns. f5 is hit by bishop g5, so maybe g5. I'd love to open up their king. Really just looking to open up their king. Everything seems secure on the queen side at the moment. They don't have any pawn breaks there, so I would like to, start hitting at their weaker side of the board. Do I want to take on f8? Yes and no. Maybe h6 first. And if g6, I play bishop f8, and then I can take on g6. Yeah. Because either their rook or king, the pawn will be pinned to. And now I have c3 defended. This looks winning. Very winning. I will retreat the bishop. I will play something like queen d3, and they won't have a defense. All right. 4 for 5. Going to record another one and keep praying for them Najdorfs.